Hello and welcome to Indiepocalypse Radio. Once again, your home for I hate the home for. Let's try it's a place. There's games, there's stuff, there's chat, there's all sorts of things. It's Indiepocalypse is the your number one source for alternative games. The increasing it's an art zine now. I feel like I have kind of lost my way with this show. Maybe it was kind of like I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of into routine. I forgot what fun radio was, and I listened to fun radio, and I was like, oh right, you can have fun on the radio with people. And it was I don't know. Anyway, we are here with a speaking of hopefully having fun on the radio. We're here with our first guest, who you may know from issue 21 of Indiepocalypse with Styx Quest. It is Lemon. Lemon, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks, Andrew. Just had some dinner. Very nice Pizza Hut. Very nice.
Ooh, only the classiest stuff.
Yeah, this is a very Domino's pizza household, so just a lot of judgment. A lot of judgment.
So I may have Domino's later tonight. You never know.
Well, who knows?
They built one like 2 minutes from my house.
Wow, that's convenient.
Or more like 2 minutes in I say that in semi-rural U.S., which means a 2 minute drive. If I had to walk to get the pizza, it'd be like 20 minutes or more.
Well, still very convenient.
Yes, yeah. It's pretty much I ask for it and it's delivered. I actually have here one of my few souvenirs that I've ever taken from a trip, if you can count it as a souvenir. Ooh. If your definition of souvenir is thing that you did not own before you made the trip and returning from the trip, you brought it back with you. It's a thing of crushed red pepper from Pizza Hut.
Very classy. Very classy.
Thank you. I was like, oh yeah, I want crushed red pepper. And they gave me a little, like a little mini spice thing. I was like, well, I'm not leaving this in the hotel room. I hope that TSA doesn't mind that I have crushed red pepper. And they didn't.
That's very good to hear.
They did take away my multi-tool, though, because I forgot I had it on my keys, and it has a serrated blade on it. And I had to.
Right, yeah.
They threw it away. Yeah. Because it was like, a kind of like an out-of-nowhere airport. And security wasn't even open until I showed up. So they had plenty of time to look at stuff. Usually they just it looks like, because it was a neat one, because it looked like a key.
Right.
And it folded out. And then I had to get another one. But whatever. Anyway, enough about my keys and other things like that. We're here to talk not about me, but about you. And the first most important question I have to ask you, that everybody always needs to know, that I need to know still, after all these approaching on years, how did you find Indiepocalypse?
Well, that's a very good question. So, several months back, I was browsing Twitter, and one of my mutuals mentioned Indiepocalypse, and I was like, "What is that? What is that?" So, I did a quick search online, and I found your project. I was like, "Wow, okay, this is interesting. I don't see a lot of things like this. No, and they just accept games every month. There's a selection. I might as well just throw my hat into the ring, see what happens."
That's the approach I want from people, because if you're not familiar with the It's Jam submission, if you make a game already, all you do is you make a drop down. You just click on a drop down menu and say, yes, this game, please.
Yeah.
And then technically you also have to put in your email and everything so I can contact you later. But
yeah, of course.
So there's technically 2 steps, 3 steps if your game is not already free.
Right.
But for the time, if you think about it, you think about considering it gets accepted, you're making what is that, well over $100 an hour in terms of the
Yeah,
amount of effort you have to put in for it.
yeah, totally.
Granted, it's only like $20, but when it only takes you 30 seconds to earn that $20.
Hey, an audience is an audience, okay?
Yes, yes. Oh, I mean that too. You the boundless
Yeah.
Indiepocalypse audience that is ever growing. Uh, the oh
But
wow.
oh, what? What's
No,
up?
no, I got distracted for a second.
Oh,
But
okay.
and it was glad to see you submitted like during the same um, month that I had also handpicked an RPG Maker game. So it was like a
Oh
perfect
yeah,
like
yes. Yeah, but that was a very fun game.
yeah. So it's like a beautiful like, and then you were like I had two back to back because I get a lot of RPG Maker submissions, and they're
Yeah.
like they're I posted on online. Online has kind of ruined the way people think about talking, I think, because I want to say things, but I'm like, I already said this, and that they might have seen me already say this, but
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is easier to say things through text than through words. Like,
yeah,
sometimes, I want to say something, but I don't get my words out right, and it's just a complete mess for everyone.
right, right. Or I feel like, I don't know. Listen, I'm not a character in a story. I'm allowed to repeat the things that I say, you know,
Mm.
and I don't have to
Yeah.
worry
Plus, this
about,
has a more personal touch to it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
more chemistry.
the point being that I noticed like that RPG Maker games come in two key flavors. One
Yeah.
is that is like something is called like boundless fantasy, and it uses all the default sprites,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, the Guardian Kingdom, I'm Prince Zelthor, and it's just like a bunch of dumb bullshit or whatever. And
Yeah,
then
I think it's those kind of games that give RPG Maker a unfavorable reputation
yeah,
because you can do so much with it, but when it's easy to make a game, it's easy to make
like,
garbage. No,
yeah.
no, no, no offense to anyone who's
Listen,
made such a project. We all got to start somewhere.
yeah, we all make garbage at one point in our life. We all really like Final Fantasy at some point in our lives and want to
Yeah,
make
of
our own
course.
Final Fantasies. But the other
Yeah.
flavor is like someone redrew all their own sprites and their own art, and then it's probably sad, or
Mm.
or not sad, but not melancholy. It's like that kind of like I don't know. I don't know how to describe that malaise or
Yeah, I think Malaise works.
that kind of that specific brand of ironic detached depression
Right, yeah.
that defines the other subgenre of RPG Maker games.
Yeah, I mean, sort of in recent years, there's been some RPG Maker games that have got that unique style and experience that focus more on towards real life, like a more modern setting, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's the ripples of Earthbound
yeah,
are that's Earthbound is I consider to be like a cursed game
yeah,
inspirationally wise because
mm,
it's one of those things that I feel like people don't fundamentally understand sort of.
yeah. What's your favorite RPG Maker game? Would you say?
Lisa, the painful.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I could definitely see it.
I
Yeah.
I am I love that game.
Yes, I prefer Lisa the Pointless. That's you heard of that?
Is
You
that like
play
a
you played?
is that like a fan game of the? Because
It's one of the more notorious fan games.
okay,
Yeah, set during the same time, and it focuses on a garbage man looking for a better life.
that was always struck me very weird that there were like Lisa fan games because it strikes me as kind of like not big enough to have fan games, you know?
Yeah, but when there's so many mysteries and
Yeah,
very very loose rules, it's kind of everything is optional.
Yeah, it's also, I think, one of the games that kind of gets the vibe of what Earthbound is, even though it's
Yeah.
like tonally very different, or like thematically and tonally rather
Oh,
different
no,
from it.
no doubt, no doubt.
But it kind of gets what it's going for. And obviously, I think
Yeah.
similarly, though technically made in Game Maker, I think Undertale also sort of gets what Earthbound's whole vibe is. But also,
Yep.
Toby Fox is making Earthbound fan games and stuff too.
Yeah, of course. Like the Halloween hack.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he was thinking about Earthbound for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have a deep affection for Lisa. I've done a single cosplay in my life for an event, like a game event that happened to take place during Halloween as well,
Oh yeah.
in which I was Buddy. I have the sword in my
Nice.
trunk still that I've just never bothered to take out,
Wow. Nice.
and I have a poncho too still somewhere, which is nice.
Hmm. Yep. Very handy.
If I
Like a
ever want to wear a poncho somewhere, it doesn't come up very
yeah.
often.
Like if you need a big old blanket or something, just grab the poncho. It's wearable blankets.
Yeah, it was really weird because it was like, so I got it from Etsy,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I don't know how I found it, but like they had referenced Lisa, like maybe I think it was like an older person that had made it though, but somehow was like seemed like they were vaguely aware of the game or something, or maybe
Nice.
so they're, oh, my grandchildren love this game. I'll make a little costume for it.
Wow. That person's grandkids have interesting taste in games.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I don't remember what the context was for it at this
Yeah.
point, but it's one of those things I wish I could learn how to re-look up. It's kind
Yeah.
of like there was an artist at some point where they had like a bunch of coffee sketches,
Alright.
coffee the website that is,
Yeah.
and it was like it was typical like coffee sketch stuff. Like here's fandom stuff, anime and the like. But then there was also just like a random David Tibet in there, and I was like, all right, who there is so in between all like the. I'll draw my favorite Naruto. Someone's like, draw my favorite English doom folk artist,
Fair
and
enough.
are you familiar with David Tibet? I say this. I'm trying to remember myself to ask things when people. I often just say dumb stuff out of nowhere, or not dumb stuff, but like I'm up my own ass a bit.
I
Lemon,
mean, who isn't?
Lemon, are you familiar with David Tibet?
No, I literally just had to look up who that is.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you familiar with Current 93?
Oh, no, never heard of Cone 93 either. I'm a little out of touch.
Okay, I don't think Current 93. Maybe they're in touch. I'm not sure. You
Fair
can get the
enough.
whole discography to catch up. I think it's only like $400 or something
Well,
on
bargain.
Bandcamp. Just set aside that to get. I was playing. I listen to a
Okay.
lot of. I listen to a lot of music, like honestly, too much music. Frankly,
Hmm.
I
Perhaps.
I think it was. I lost my number because I remove things as I buy them, but it was something around like I don't know, 15, 60 or something
Ooh.
new albums in
Uh,
2021.
well, must be quite a collection to look at.
Yeah, well, when you just go to Bandcamp every day and just like listen to everything they suggest.
Hmm.
The guy who makes a weird, once again, infinite surprise. The guy who makes a weird art zine spends a lot of time with alternative art.
Okay.
But anyway, what's
Anyways.
your what's your favorite RPG Maker game, Lemon?
Well, I just said Lisa the Pointless.
You're right. You did say Lisa the Pointless. I didn't know if you were making
Yeah.
a joke or if that was
No,
actually your
no,
favorite.
no, no, genuinely. Like, if you like Lisa's pain mode difficulty, this is just that the whole way through.
Okay.
Plus, it's going through a major remake at the moment where they're doubling the amount of doubling the amount of content.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
yeah, it's a whole team working on it, like 30 or so people.
okay. That's
Yeah,
the RPG fan game community is a whole other thing. That
yeah,
there's so many of them, so much of them, and I guess you could like um he's like, why don't you just make a game you can do your thing? But fan art or your fan works is his own thing that people enjoy. Some people don't have like their own thing inside of them, but they like to like reinterpret other people's
yeah,
works and expand on that.
yeah. That's that's very good to hear. You know, you gotta get the wheels of creativity flowing. Gotta put a fresh spin on something. That's art, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that I mean we're living in a world that's dominated by Marvel, which that is like the most predatory version of that where you
Yeah.
know
I mean, don't get me wrong. Marvel is okay, but you know, I think since Endgame, it's kind of hard to figure out where it's going next because the most recent Marvel film I've seen is Venom 2, and that has nothing to do with it.
yeah, I think that's technically an offshoot or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's still classified as Marvel, so definitions.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's the same thing as like Marvel comics where it's like
Yeah.
there are technically I think they're all in the same universe, but there's a bunch of books that's like somebody writes a book for like Spiral and like nobody cares what happens in the Spiral solo book or whatever.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of its own. I don't know if Spiral ever had a solo book. Let's be honest. I'm not. I'm not the big Marvel expert.
Honestly, me neither.
My Marvel knowledge extends to basically as much as like. I mean, even before
Yeah,
I listened to my Marvel knowledge is primarily what I got from Explain the X-Men podcast.
right.
And even then, my knowledge beyond X-Men before then and after then is very limited. To me, it's a weird thing where it's like X-Men are kind of their own thing that aren't even like Marvel, even though
Hmm.
very clearly they are. But they just it feels so big.
Yeah, there's so many stories that get remade and all that. Like, how many times does Uncle Ben have to die? Like, how
Like
many times?
if
I
he
mean,
doesn't die, how do we know why Spider-Man does his thing? Why?
like a few months ago, I stumbled onto some weird other versions of Spider-Man, and there is literally a Spider-Man who is a suit puppeteered by a hive mind of spiders. It's called Spider's Man.
You can do anything you want with comic books when it's the very weird thing for it's like popular as the movies are. Comics feel like they're still like very much a second-rate medium in the
Yeah,
U.S. Like they're not.
yeah,
They're still like a tie-in medium.
yeah. I mean, it is a shame.
Yeah, you're telling I'm the big comics fan, so I have too many comic books. Ex-
Mm.
Noted excessive comic owner. Um, that's part of my canon on this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I talk too
I
much
mean,
about. Well, if one of my dreams is that if I can become a famous person who can do self-indulgent stuff and then people will care, it's that my self-indulgent podcast would be talking about comics.
yeah. I mean, it sounds like a good idea.
But like not, but like I because I've never had what I wanted because I just kind of want all comics. I like them
Right. Yeah.
irrespective of country of origin and things like that.
Yeah.
It always feels like podcasts or video essays are kind of like I only like manga or I only like Western superhero comics.
Yeah. Everyone's got their interests.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
like I like it all.
Yeah.
I like
It's very nice.
I like the sequential art medium.
Hmm. Oh,
But
sorry, excuse me. Sorry, just had to stretch there.
no,
Anyways,
it's important to keep limber when you're doing radio activities. So
yeah.
so Lemon, I got nervous for a second because I forgot like how long does a second go because my time wasn't clicking over. I need to ask
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
very important. I've been trying to get to the bottom of something here on Indiepocalypse Radio, and that is, what is your familiarity with a certain pair of brothers who go by, frankly, one of their first names? That's the Mario Brothers.
What do I think of the Mario
Yeah,
Brothers?
what do you think of them? What's your relationship with them?
The Mario Brothers and we're not too close. I mean, I've had my encounters with them in the
Yeah.
past, and they've been enjoyable, but they haven't really left that much of an impact on my life. And I'm horrified that one of them is Chris Pratt.
Yeah. How do you feel about the other one being Charlie Day?
I think it works well. I think it works very well.
Okay. Good.
I mean, his energy on It's Always Sunny, just
Yeah.
I want to see Luigi freak out like that.
It's a weird like I Chris Pratt's a bad actor, so it's very weird that he's getting a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like you know James Corden?
Yes.
Yeah, he was on there was this one show he was on before he moved to America, The Wrong Man's.
Okay.
It was about two people who work for the government who who stumble into a massive conspiracy. It's like after that he's just been everywhere and I can't handle
Yeah.
it.
Is he your Chris Pratt, and did you dump him on America to get rid of him?
Well, yes and no. He left on his own volition.
Well, so if I can make assumptions about your country of origin, may I ask instead then, how do you feel about the Gianna sisters?
Wait, the who?
Oh, never mind. Then maybe they don't have a lasting cultural legacy. The Gianna sisters, they were like a Mario clone over in the UK
No, I
for like the
uh,
ZX and stuff like that.
no, I've never heard of them. Oh, oh God, I'm looking at the cover right now, and hmm, I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember if it's for the Commodore or for the ZX or for some kind of other home computer, but it was like, hey, we have Mario too, but it was like definitely not Mario. They
Is
they made a remake.
yeah.
It was the same studio who made the new Bubsy games.
Oh, that's reassuring.
It is, yeah, yeah. It's a real pedigree they got there,
Yeah.
which feels like you're rather dismissive of Bubsy.
Well, honestly, I know very little about Bubsy. All I know is that he has a reputation around him.
Yeah, he's I as a child, we had Bubsy was one of the games that we owned, and you
Right.
see, we're something like a Super Mario World or a Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. That is a well-made game that you can complete from start to finish, and just like I beat the Zelda game. I killed the pigman. I got the little triangles, and I'm the champion now.
Yahoo!
Bubsy is bad, so you just keep playing it because you don't beat it.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
And that's the life you live.
Mm.
But as we are approaching the end of our time here, Lemon, at the end of our
Yeah.
20-minute segment, I have to ask you, what's the worst game you played too much as a child?
The worst game I played too much of? Um, oh, if I had to choose, I would say it would be Madagascar Operation Penguin for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance.
That,
It is the
that's,
one game I can remember beating entirely, and afterwards I'm just like, what do I do now? This is garbage.
imagine, I had a very specific amount of time with Virtual Boy Advance. There was a time period in my life
Yeah.
where my brother and I I feel we played a lot of real shit on that thing. Maybe at one point we'll talk about the Burbs. Are you familiar with the Burbs
The Burbs.
or the Sims in general on the
Oh,
GBA?
the Sims. Yeah. Oh no, I only Sims game I've played is Sims 2 Pets for DS, and that was just garbage.
The console Sims or something. But
Yeah.
we can't get diverged into console Sims.
Mm,
It's fascinating. I'm a big fan,
yeah.
sort of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, um,
Anyways.
we're gonna go to break. I want to crap. I forgot to change my break thing. I've got Freddy and the Dreamers up here still. Maybe I should just leave them there. Are you familiar with
Yeah, why not?
Are you familiar with Freddy and the Dreamers?
Freddy and the Dreamers. I think it sounds familiar, but not too sure. I
They're,
really have to brush up on my music.
you don't have to brush up on Freddy and the Dreamers. They're like a real also ran like
Right.
Beatles esque band.
We don't need any more Beatles.
We've got the one.
There's only
Uh,
one who matters, and his name is Ringo.
Ringo's going to be the last one. He's trucking along.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway.
my only take about the Beatles in 2021 is it's actually impossible to have a hot take on the Beatles in 2021.
Yeah, that's understandable.
It's just like they've been taked out. My only take is I listened to like that super deluxe version of Let It Be, and I liked it.
Yeah. Yellow Submarine's a pretty funky film.
I've never seen it. But I'm aware I like the aesthetics of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I studied animation for 3 years, and that was some wild shit we had to watch in class.
Oh, anyway, before we
Anyways,
maybe that's what I'll put there. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna switch to. I'm gonna switch over to Spunkmeyer's Alice.
nice.
I forget what I named. See, I named my gifts a lot of fun things that I remember. Maybe I call that one good gifts or having a great time.
Yep, fair enough.
So I have to remember what dumb bullshit I name my different gifts.
Yeah.
And you know
Got
what?
similar. What?
I don't remember. I do not remember. So we are instead gonna just do a little something else, a little Nirvana, the band, the show. Anyway,
Alrighty.
now I'm actually gonna go to break. Thank you for being here with me and this time. You'll be back later in our group segment. So glad to have a group segment back. But in the meantime, we're gonna go to a break, and I'll be back in like 2:54.
See you around.
Hello and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. That was Festival Song by Jeff Rosenstock. I wanted to do Hellhole, but that song just does not work on its own as a singular thing. You got to play the whole medley. Speaking of the Beatles and medleys, and man, that worry Abbey Road-esque medley at the end, damn dude, slaps the hell out of that Abbey. I mean, I like the Abbey Road medley too, but like, damn dude. Nothing. Majesty doesn't quite match up to Perfect Sound, whatever. But speaking of Perfect Sounds, whatever, our next guest, you may know from issue 23, the newest issue of Indiepocalypse, with In the Hollow of the Valley. It's Nicholas O'Brien. Nicholas, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Thanks so much for having me on.
Listen, thanks you for being here. Why did I say? Oh, I'm looking at my GIF. I'm like, why did I name it Super Mario RPG? And that's because it goes. That's part of the song. That's like the opening line is going Super Mario RPG. Anyway, that's a little peek into the brain of how I name my GIFs.
Yeah, word association, you know?
Yeah.
It's a funny thing.
I just kind of, because they're only for me. I'm a real purist where like, maybe it's just me, but whenever I see people be like posting GIFs online, and it's like very clearly you just typed excited into a GIF search and took
Right.
like the third option, I'm like, get a goddamn personality.
Yeah, I think about this too with folks that use like GIF searches in text form
Yeah.
too. I'm not a big like GIF in chat person. But what you're saying too also thinks about like made me think about like naming conventions for my files.
Yeah.
And I love talking to people that like me oftentimes have to revisit their projects and like fix the broken stuff that they've done in their projects many times and have files that are like game file final all caps update to final all caps, you know. I think that's a very common naming convention that I have with my files.
Yeah, I'm good at naming project files, but if I don't care about the files, I'll just name them whatever I want. the
Yeah.
For instance, like inside in any Indiepocalypse issue, I have 4 folders for contracts, screenshots, pages, and games, and every one of them is some approximation. It's kind of like I just smash on my keyboard, and as long as you get close enough to the word, I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I went through a phase of kind of like pre-common use of like Google Drive or like these kind of like easier file sharing, or I should say like user-friendly file sharing
Yeah.
platforms. I would just send emails to my students of files like all the time, like just mass emails. And all of the files were always labeled LOL. Like they were always just labeled like I can't think of an actual name of this, so you're just going to get lol.jpg, and that's like the project file that we're working, or like the demo file that we're working with today.
That's the thing I worry about is sometimes I'm like, I'm sending emails. I got to make sure I send a proper name title so that it's not just like dumb bullshit.jpg.
Right.
Do I don't know if I have a dumb
Well,
bullshit.jpg.
I'll let you know that all of the project files that, or any email files you've sent me, have been very appropriately named. So
Yeah, they just say like Indiepocalypse contract.
right.
Do I always sign it? No, I don't always remember to sign it.
Oh, that is one naming convention that I feel like I do pretty regularly, is like when this makes me sound like I'm a super big hotshot, but like whenever I get invoices and then I actively like or send invoices for things, I always do label them like received and signed, like underscore signed.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel very professional when I do that.
Yeah, I assume that I should have properly signed it beforehand, and then I just often do not.
Right.
Like, I don't need to name it signed because they're all signed.
Exactly. Yeah. Just I've done the work already.
And it turns out I often do not do the work. But what am I? Sorry, I'm mildly distracted because I'm like, oh, I forgot there's a guest segment, so I do need to pull out a second song. But anyway, speaking of pulling out things, I need you to pull out the answer to the number one Indiepocalypse question, which is, how do you hear about Indiepocalypse?
Yeah, totally. I think that I first heard about it. I was thinking about this when you were talking to Lemon, and I think that I first heard about it from Ryan, aka Derivative, who does a Twitch stream of a lot of like art slash super independent slash DIY games. They came from obscurity, absolutely.
It's hosted
and I think
sometimes on this very stream.
Yeah, totally. And he played one of my games, and I really like he plays so much stuff, and it just is, I really appreciate the work that he does of all the different types of representation that he does of people making really cool experimental stuff. And I think that I first saw him maybe like retweet something from Indiepocalypse.
Yeah, I feel like I emailed him like literally forever ago at this point.
Yeah, I think I think it was like through him that I saw. I was thinking it was either that or that I saw a game that was on. I was just trying to look while you were talking to Lemon. I remember seeing like coming across a game on itch that said it was a submission to Indiepocalypse. I don't know if that happened afterwards, but I feel like that those were in close succession.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I do want to say, I think that might have been around. I was going back and looking through the catalog, and I think that was maybe I just had it pulled up here. I think it was an issue like 17 or 18. Let me go back and look because I'm trying to remember from the like issue. Oh no, it was much earlier than that. Sorry, it is issue 10. I remember seeing that like issue like cover art and being like, oh, what is this thing? And looking through, and now I'm looking through that issue to see what it might have been.
I'm trying to think which one.
It was this project from Team Solitude.
Okay, yeah.
I've been following their work. It must have been them because I follow them on itch, and I saw that they like had posted this project or that were like part of this issue, and I was like, oh cool, what's this? So yeah, between those two things, I think I can safely say that that's where my first intersection with Indiepocalypse was.
Oh, perfect. And then over a year later, you're like, hey, let me throw my hat in this ring.
Yeah, totally. I think that I think that I'm trying to remember when I was like, I should put this game in, I should submit this game. And I feel like I had thought about doing that for like many issues and then kept kind of like just missing the deadline.
Yeah.
And then it must have been issue 22 was published, and I was like, okay, I need to go to the like submission page right now and just like do this like before I forget. And so or it must have been 21 because I think that we first started chatting like right after you'd made the decision for 22.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I'm trying to wrap my head around everything. So 25 is open right now.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So maybe it was 20 that was open, and you were starting to plan for this issue.
Yeah. So okay.
And,
so right.
Yeah.
23 came out. I'm building 24. I'm accepting
Right.
submissions for 25.
Totally.
I got a lot going on.
Yeah, man.
Just spinning plates like crazy over here. But it's a system that works. I got it nailed down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure once you got it rolling, then like it's good to go, right? It keeps going.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to stop it at this point.
Yeah.
It's just maintaining this month. I actually got I have maybe one of, if not the largest collection on itch. I'm not sure. Like the collection sizes, if you can search that sort of thing. I think I'm getting close to like 5,000 games on it right now. And that is so I just collect games from all over the place, from recommendations, from people posting about them, from just like sometimes even like the you might likes kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And I just add them to this giant to play list.
Yeah.
And I also follow everyone who is in the apocalypse. So anytime they add something to a collection or rate it 5 stars, I also add it to that giant playlist.
Totally.
So
so after so many issues, that's like a ton of recommendations.
Yeah, and this is like me going back probably like a decade. Like, I mean, I have how many... Nicholas, we like to play a nice game on Indiepocalypse, which is guess an impossible question. So I'm going to ask you right now. I have a game of pre-itch and just non-itch games that I have like a favorites folder of all those games. How many games do you think are in that favorites folder?
Of your favorites folder?
My favorites folder. To give you
if you're whittling down from 5,000,
no,
right?
That's in addition.
Oh, in addition. Wow.
Okay, so currently
give me some clues.
My 2 playlist currently is at 49.43. That's how big that list is of games that is considered to be on itch to play. Then I have another one that is secret. So I have a lot of lists here. on itch. I have to play, obviously.
Mm.
I have follows you. So for my to play list, I call them down to this is how I do my handpicked ones, basically. A little peek behind my curtains is so I call that list down to basically non-dudes who are unaware of Indiepocalypse is my goal. So I have a to play list, then I have a follows you list. So anyone who's following me, I don't handpick them because they know what Indiepocalypse is. They can just fucking submit the games themselves. Can't find, which means they have no contact information. That's 498 people. Big business, which means like maybe make indie games, but also you work for Electronic Arts, and then I don't give a shit about you.
Sure.
That's only 51 people. Too big, which means like you are like a 6-person team, or
right.
Maybe
you're like a double A or something.
Yeah, you work at like co-op or something, like a larger studio like that. That's like 281 people.
Is that how you pronounce that, by the way? I have been pronouncing that as just coop. And I think
in my brain, I assume it's co-op because like that's the idea.
That makes way more sense.
I don't know if they're a co-op or not, technically, like, legally or whatever.
Right.
But also co-op is a gamer term.
Totally.
Dudes, my dudes list is 852 dudes on that list.
So I'm trying to guess favorites.
So and then my secret list, which is the list I'm currently still calling through, and that's like has been filtered into other things, or includes people who are like handpick eligible and don't fall into any of those other categories, is currently at 1,245.
Wow!
And now the list that you are guessing, that's just like a bunch of numbers to throw in your brain and confuse you.
Yeah.
The list you are guessing is I have a list of just bookmarked through an internet browser, not through itch at all, of games that aren't on itch.
Oh, wow.
That either I favorited them before itch was a thing that existed, or they're just simply not available on itch. And you are guessing how many games are in that list?
Can I ask one question, and then
you may ask one question.
Is it larger than the 2-play?
No. It's not larger than 2-play.
Okay.
My God, if I had like 10,000 games, just
right. Right. So my intuition was to say that it was maybe quite smaller, because I feel like a bookmark is really like, that's like, right, to do that is, I feel like, a really big gesture.
Well, I also have a music one, which is stuff that I like. Is like the albums are unavailable, or they're just like the Bandcamp dailies of like all the different albums that I just like.
Right.
Instead of queuing up like the best jazz of Bandcamp in March 2020, I just added to the favorites list. That's 829 right now.
Okay.
So I'm very reckless with my favorites.
So, well, I was gonna say, let's go with 627.
You're only about 1,000 off.
Shucks.
It's 1618 right now.
1618. Yeah, I missed that one at the beginning. It got cut off in the audio, I think.
Yeah, if you said that one, that would have been like a very shockingly close guess.
Yeah, I'm actually a hacker, and
oh shit.
No, I'm very much not.
But anyway, I cover as the point of me naming my giant list of numbers of albums of comic books that I own is to really trying to drive home the point that I ingest a lot of art.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. Can I ask you something? Do you also have a tab problem?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think I've gotten better on the computer that I'm talking to you on, my like studio computer. I've gotten much better. I only have about like I can see actually. I only have
if you have to count it, actually, maybe I don't have a tab problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have like 45 open right now.
I guess I'm wrong. I guess I don't actually have a tab problem.
Oh yeah, I have a tab problem. On my work computer, like the computer that I use for teaching and stuff.
Yeah.
I have two separate windows that are both easily 50 plus tabs.
Nope, never. I've never lived
Yeah.
that. If I need to visit something later, I just put in a favorites and throw it away.
But see, I think that's really smart. So like most of on that machine. So whenever I teach, I try to teach like a new browser window because like I am slightly embarrassed about the amount of tabs that I have.
Yeah.
But I had this like final critique this past week, and I wasn't planning on using my computer to like show the students something on the internet. So I just like made a new tab in the one that I had, and immediately there was like a handful of students that were like, holy God, get those tabs together like really quickly.
Yeah, someone needs a control Q. Just give up.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, I admitted to this. I was like, most of these are like itch games that I haven't played,
Yeah.
or like a couple of them are like articles that I have read, but I know that I want to like refer back to quickly and easily.
Yeah.
So I give myself a little bit of a credit, and I've done a much better job of trying to cull my tabs of just like useless information. Or the really bad thing is that I do a lot of like tabbing out of calls to submit to things and then like forget those deadlines, and that always really is sad for me.
No, yeah, I actually have very few tabs open. Usually I have like a playlist, like a video playlist that I'm currently watching because I turned off, YouTube watching my things. Or so I turned off my history like years ago and never looked back. So I have to remember sometimes what video I'm on if I'm watching like a long Let's Play, and I'm like, well, am I on which? I don't want to have to go through all these videos.
Yeah.
Or like, and then I have a couple, but very rarely do I actually have a lot of tabs open. The only tabs I have open right now are the question form one, a Famicase one for actually I don't even need for like the kind of like the game projects I want to do.
Should we do a separate radio show where we just go through my tabs?
Yeah,
and just be like, don't need that one.
Yeah,
don't need that one.
I'm. Does this tab spark joy? Is what I'm asking. And most of the time, I think they probably don't, which is kind of like. Listen, I think it constantly kind of. I've never read the Art of Tidying or whatever it's called, but even I know the point is not to just throw all your stuff away. It's to recognize what in your life that you don't actually need.
Totally. Yeah.
So I'm very good at like discarding stuff, but I also own like 2,000 comics because they spark joy in my life,
Totally. I think it's everybody, I think, needs like the thing that they're like unwilling to budge on. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like, I can live a very Spartan life, but like I want to have this because like this is something that I really like.
Yeah,
I don't deny me this thing. Yeah.
If they weren't so expensive, I would probably own a lot more albums.
Yeah. Because I actually think that's going to be like that's going to be some holiday presents. I think for me this year is albums, because I agree with you. Like just the practicality of buying vinyl is not like in my budget typically.
Yeah, no, they're expensive, but also they're very cool to look at. I have from the previous segment. I own the aforementioned Lisa the Painful vinyl.
You have the soundtrack? Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that the developers made a vinyl.
They did. I think it's probably through like Fangamer or something like that.
Sure,
I am
totally.
8-bit, but also I love that soundtrack. It fucking slaps.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like good grunts and weird noises in it.
Is that on the vinyl? Just like
the
not SFX? Yeah.
But they're present in a lot of the songs. That kind of
right. That would be I would love to commission like a game just to like dump all of their like sound effects files onto and press it on wax as just like a piece of vinyl that has like 150 tracks, but it's just like all the sound effects back to back.
Well, watch out when we talk about sound effects CDs on this radio show. We don't do gimmick infringement here.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
I'll stay in my lane.
no, no. I listen. I think a lot of things about like um I'm I have too much of a memory, you know, where I'm too keenly aware of things and I'm too keenly aware of other people's bits and also not accidentally just becoming other shows, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember I remember like kind of like my a personal guiding ethos of when I was doing like a movie podcast with my friends, like make sure you do not become on cinema like unironically, where you're
Right.
just kind of two
Right.
bland dudes doing I love movies
Right.
and saying nothing
Right.
about movies whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you're doing a good job of avoiding
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I'm I'm fighting my footing. I feel like I'm somewhere. My ideal position is like somewhere between like best show and comedy Bang Bang. Like I
That's yeah.
I am a real person. I'm not a full on character. But
I was like really nervous there for a second.
but I'm also like an exaggerated version of myself, and also it's dumb bullshit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had Cassidy of the Bad Game Corner appeared on the pledge drive as a character, and it was truly my greatest gift this year is interacting with like I love bits, I love doing them, I love being in them,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
I think
also
that's a good thing to do for a pledge drive too.
yeah, and like
Spice it up.
if people did on this show, I'd say I wouldn't say no, but also the I trade in different circles. Game developers are not comedians by trade typically.
Not. No. No.
So they're not ready to show up and to riff for like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah. I think that also would be a tall order on your part too, right?
Oh, I love
invite
doing
people.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying like to invite
people.
people to the radio
Yeah.
and be like, by the way, prepare a 30-minute bit.
Yeah.
Get your material together. Yeah.
Yeah. Get ready to. Yeah. It's a lot. If I eventually, maybe who knows, as Indiepocalypse begins its grand new odyssey in 2022 of like just trying to interact more with different art spaces. You never know.
Yeah.
That's kind of like read the.
Which, by the way,
yeah.
Can we talk about your like year end?
Yes.
Post. I just wanted to. I mean, I don't really have much to like say, or like I just want to say that I really appreciated how transparent and honest it was, and I immediately thought of like, because as I said before, like I teach game design, and I just immediately thought of my students and like being like, this is required reading, like you should read this post of like, to not to like abandon all your hopes and dreams, but to like put it in very pragmatic light, and to be very honest with yourself, like what you're doing, like what you're getting into and why you're doing this. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really appreciated it, and I think it's a service to many people, developers, folks interested in games, and I would love to see more of that in the world. So thanks.
Well, thank you. I just got, during this radio show, I got a message from one of the heads of Cartomancy, and I need to respond to it because I do enjoy that project, but I think there's like, I don't want, I'm sick of, listen, I won't do it online, but if in like a blog on my website, I'm not fucking subtweeting anyone. I'm going to use people's names all the time.
Right.
Because I think it's important to like get a little louder about stuff, and like you can complain about people in very specific terms instead of like nonstop passive aggression and like toxic positivity. It just drives me insane.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it.
And I would say like too, on the other side of that, like to be like very, I don't know, this sounds like borderline The Secret or something, but like, to put out there in the world the thing that you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that there's like so much within like indie game spaces of being undecided with like what you want out of your projects, and I just really appreciated you being like, you know what, like fuck it, this is what I'm doing, and like you can come along into this adventure or like you can, and that's like totally okay, and there's space for everybody, but I'm going this way, so like that's that.
Yeah.
um
A contributor of the zine, I believe, said on Twitter that they felt like way more kinship with like weirdos at punk shows than they ever did with the indie space.
Right. I've seen a number of posts about this recently. I think actually Jack King Spooner posted something on Twitter that was just like, my so-called, like, I do not feel affinity for my so-called indie game scene or something like that. I
Yeah.
should really look up the tweet because I don't want to misquote.
I mean, on this very
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
one I don't remember all the particulars. That's why I didn't name names within the thing. But I believe on this very show, when I was talking to cartoonist Evan Dom, he was talking about like PvP, and I was like snidely, and he's like, I shouldn't say that. But and I was like, is he your peer? Like really? Like they're like they both work in webcomics and comics, but they work entirely in different spaces. And like different not everyone, like I'm not a peer with like fucking anyone at like Electronic Arts,
Right. Totally.
when like even most people in indie spaces, like they have like studios and like teams.
Yeah.
You can see from my blog post, I do not have money to hire anybody.
Yeah. Oh, this is the quote. Sorry, I want to respond to that, but this is the quote. Honestly, I don't feel much sense of community in the indie game sphere. And yeah, I like instantly like that. But like, I think what you said that I think is interesting is that I've been attending this, or I attended this workshop by Hannah Nicklin, who's I guess she now runs Die Gute Fabrik, like the people that made Mutazone. And she like divulged some stuff about like that game and its development cycle and the amount of money that it costs. And she presented this spreadsheet of kind of different categories of people working in game space. And she labeled indies as a 2+ person studio that was generating between like $10,000 and like $200,000 in profits. And I was like, holy shit, that is not the categorization that I would put or just like the way in which she broke down these different categorizations. I was like, wow, my sense of who I am in this world is like not like this person's, and like that's kind of like a good awakening, but also like, wow, I didn't know that this is how people, like super professional people, I would say, like really think about this space.
Yeah, no, there's too much damn professionalism in the game industry. We need to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this. Okay, so if you want to really, this was something I thought about talking about in that, but like this is way more of a different conversation. Whereas, so I'm realizing more and more that because you needed computers to make video games, and computers were and remain to be rather expensive. You never got a very like crust of the earth working class movement in games because they had to buy computers to make games, So it was harder to make, like you couldn't just like, you could publish like indie comics, indie zines by like going to fucking Kinko's and printing them out,
Yeah.
Or doing it on your office computer.
Or like hacking Kinko's cards or like duping them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like I'm going to your day job and printing your zines out,
Totally.
Recording records on your boombox.
I wholeheartedly think that I don't work in an office that has this culture so much, but I wholeheartedly think that like copier codes is a direct result of people working office jobs that hate their job, that print their DIY zines using like company
their band flyers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that those things are in direct correlation.
And the thing is, I think games maybe are getting closer to that with like stuff like Bitsy, or like really
Yep.
helping people to be like, I don't have money to buy engines, but I have a
Yep.
computer now, so I can make a game in Bitsy.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like, it doesn't need to be a strong computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Jams are also. I have a lot of feelings about jams and their negative feelings.
Yeah. Andrew, I don't want to talk about jams.
I
I
love
mean,
to,
like,
yeah,
because I feel like you talk about it. I mean, we talk about it in the Discord so
yeah,
much, right? Like, but I think like, uh, I think you're totally right. I think that tools like Bitsy or tools that like run directly in the browser,
yeah.
I think are like really going to be like, I'm super curious to see what the end game is for like Yo-Yo Games to like make these Opera based, or like, you know, how like, I don't know if you've read this stuff, but like Opera now really wants to do like in the browser game design and game building to
You know,
basically like, huh?
I was gonna say as long as Yo-Yo doesn't try to charge me again for Game Maker Studio 2, I don't really care what they do.
Well, this is like the thing that's like
Yeah,
has people concerned for sure. But yeah, like, and I think that once you start getting like more and more, not like accessible is like such a overused term, but like more and more readily available, and also like not pervasive. I can't think of the word, but like just like tools that like allow you to pick up what you want to do really quickly on the fly.
yeah,
You know what I mean? As opposed to like, I feel like game development is like such a like, I'm gonna sit down at my computer for like 10 hours and like just, you know what I mean? And like that's such a, you know, I don't get to do that very often, but like
right.
people that do get to do that, that feels like such a luxury. But something where it's like, I've got 30 minutes on the train, I'm gonna like do a little bit of like development,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like later on in the day be like, oh, I'm gonna go back and like keep working on that thing.
I used to sort of do that by just typing code in Evernote and hoping it worked when I got home.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not designed to. I mean, someone could make an app though that does like brackets and stuff better, and like it more naturally formats for code and that kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
I
Though
mean,
the idea of like writing code on my phone sounds like a brand new hell.
I lived in that hell and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so I think people are like moving towards. I referenced oh god, what it was, I forget what the game is called, and also I forget what the poem is called. But and now I also forget what the author was called. Is Rose something? Um. Oh, good old Ryan Derivative linked my thing so I can look it up real quickly, because I was talking, I think, a lot about this idea of like, so you know when that Breath of the Wild guy, the guy was like, hey, make Breath of the Wild for 10K
Sure.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and then some fucking game dev guy was going, well, it takes 10K to make a good song from a composer. I'm like, shut up, dude. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no, you're up your own ass of thinking things cost $1 million because you have $1 million to spend, and they
Right.
don't.
Right.
And like, so there was. This is just to say, by Modern Modron. Is that the name of that poem as well as the poem called "This Is Just to Say"?
Oh, this is just to say.
Yeah.
I think so.
Anyway, that game is about 30 seconds long, and I love it.
Yeah, it's a William Colors Williams. I wanted to say that's what it was, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, so like that was the first thing I thought about when I saw that guy's thread. It was like, the person probably made this game in like a weekend, if not a couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will probably think about it more and get more pleasure than that fucking whole studio's game that is just like whatever generic software ass game they made.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like, that's sort of like, I mentioned like every other show on this thing, but like probably two of my favorite and perhaps most important pieces of writing in games are both from. Oh no, I forgot their studio name again. What's the studio name of the people who did Anodyne?
Oh, well, it's the one guy,
No,
Melios, right?
it's Melos and Marina.
Yeah, yeah. And then
But I forget. I always forget the name of their studio.
it's something like here, I'm gonna look it up. But keep saying what you were saying.
Anyway, the Analgesic Productions is the name of the studio, but it's
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Melos Hantani and Marina Kataka. But anyway, so Marina Kataka had written "Divest from the Games Industry."
Sure.
That gets referenced a lot. Very good, and
Yeah.
people are actually very bad. People are very good at linking that article. Are very bad at actually divesting from the games industry.
Yeah.
Because they don't know that divesting from the games industry isn't just like I want to make an image at some point, but like this Activision outrage feels like it's I feel with crop rotation, the concept of crop rotation.
Yeah.
It feels like that is
in agriculture. You're saying
yes.
Yeah.
It feels like the big studio outrage is just crop rotation. Everyone's very mad at Activision, but they love what like Riot and Ubisoft are putting out right now.
Yeah.
And then something will come against Ubisoft, and then we'll all love Blizzard again because we're mad at Ubisoft right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the exact same way about this in relation to this. I mean, I don't think it's universally, but I feel the same way about the way that the VGA Awards was like so mealy mouth about like whatever,
Yeah.
They basically like not addressing the pink elephant in the room,
or is more
trying to.
I never watched
and
it,
then,
but
yeah, but then like right then afterwards being like, by the way, Quantum Dream is releasing a Star Wars game, and it's like, well, listen, you can't.
They're like one of the worst offenders.
Yeah. It's like you can't do. I mean, I don't want to try to be like a morality gatekeeper, but I totally agree with you, right? It's like, oh, it's fashionable in some way to be like down on this one thing.
Recording again. Okay, we're back. If there was a hiccup, I ran out of disk space. You're saying basically about people are like, yeah. I mean, it's good that Activision is maybe finally like creating stronger unions in the game industry.
Yeah, we'll see if that becomes the end result. I mean, that would be fantastic. Absolutely. And that you'd see people actively leaving those larger studios and maybe starting really small projects that are like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Because also individuals are shitty, and you can be shitty as an individual.
Yeah.
Anyway, the second article was, I forget what it's exactly called, but it's about live games and dead games.
Oh yeah. Is that Lana Polvani or
Melis Antani?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, he wrote that.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, he has a lot of like decent, like pretty good blog articles about things.
No,
about games.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because they feel like they, unsurprisingly, the two of them feel like they actually have divested from the games industry.
Yeah.
So they have like a very refreshing perspective often.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, so like when I refer to something as software, that's kind of like what I think of when I refer to like what Melis refers to as dead games.
Mm-hmm.
Of like games that have no spark of life in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they just feel like I am making my deck building roguelike a game. I am making my open world action adventure game,
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't feel like it's a game that. And I've been thinking about this as I watch a Let's Play of old Metal Gear games, and Let's Plays versus streamings is a whole other thing, which I think is an interesting thing that I've been thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because Let's Plays mean a specific thing to some people that they don't mean to other people. As like a thing that is pre-recorded and like very like it's almost like a produced show. Versus the modern parlance of it is just a playthrough of a game.
Right.
But anyway, and I was thinking about how like maybe there's maybe one or two people, but it's mostly like Kojima is like one of the few like AAA budget like directors that actually has a distinct voice in both terms of like not just like the narratives, but also like the way like his games are a marriage of like narrative and design and everything. And like Metal Gear is Metal Gear is Metal Gear, you know? It's got a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
Both content wise and like as a game in places, but it is also like it feels like a game that you know, you can see auteurs is like, you know, partially bullshit, you know. You know, everything is the, you know, collaboration of large teams often, even
Absolutely.
with like auteur directors, but there is like I think a large guiding voice, and that's why you have like things that have very distinct voices in them, why certain directors have very specific styles and that sort of thing. Which anyway, I was thinking, I think unfortunately David Cage is probably perhaps another one, but he just sucks.
Yeah.
As both the person and as a director.
Yeah. I know. I like had not played any like Quantic Dream games like ever, and then I was kind of doing like more intense like narrative design research and played Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
And I had this like really funny experience playing, or maybe not so funny, but I had this experience playing both of them of being like, why are people so hype on this? Like, like as a person that works a lot or thinks a lot about like narrative, both as like writing and narrative as a way to get as like a vehicle, an interactive vehicle to get people to like think through ideas and concepts.
Yeah.
Like the shallowness with which the quote unquote ideas that are presented in both of those games like seemed so like obvious to me, or it seemed so like visible to me, or like not innovative. And I was like, oh, it's just doing a better job of masking choice as like or like masking the way in which your choices affect your like gameplay than like other games had previously.
Yeah, well, I mean some other games.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to break real quick, and then we'll probably pick this back up. I want to talk about Deus Ex a little.
Oh, sure.
Maybe because Deus Ex makes me. It was like the only time where I feel like I had a real like. Anyway, we're gonna go to. Hello, and welcome back to Indiepocalypse Radio. We were in the final segment that was Future Police by Downtown Boys. So we're talking a little bit about choice. Lemon is also here technically, and I mean Lemon was also always here, but in the sanctity of the segments or whatever, you know. Deus Ex was the last game where I feel like I made a choice that was meaningful. I mean, even though it was like probably an obvious choice you're supposed to make, but it felt like you know when you're on the plane. Are you familiar with Deus Ex?
Yeah, I definitely am. Yeah.
Okay. You know when you go on the plane, it's like no, and it's kind of like the kind of the big turn or whatever.
Where, yeah, right. Like you decide to be basically like
you go against the organization.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And I was like, this is stupid. I'm going to try to go against the organization. Like, I don't want to listen to them. And then the game let me do it. And I was like, wait, what? Excuse you? And I was surprised because it didn't feel like a thing a video game would do. And I think that kind of blew my mind at the time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I feel like Deus Ex should be talked about more in terms of narrative design, like not just the writing necessarily, but like how the writing gets the player to do specific things specific sequences.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's the what's the word I'm looking for? Not prototypical, but your shining version of the immersive sim.
Right, right. But I think it helps that it's about conspiracy.
Yeah.
Right. I think it helps that it's about like being paranoid, right? And like suspecting everyone.
Yeah, yeah. It's the only other time I came across like such a revelatory gameplay experience was actually, and I've come to actually really respect this series like as I played through most of them. But I was playing, I think it was like Dragon Quest 6 perhaps or 7.
Ooh.
But they're like a person. There's a person who's like a monster, but they get transformed to a monster, and you can just like opt to not fight them. Like narratively, it makes sense. Like I don't want to fight this person; they're not fighting me by choice. So you can run away, and that is like a viable way to end the battle. It's to simply like not fight. And like I was surprised because I guess growing up, I assumed that like Final Fantasy was the story one, and Dragon Quest was like you just grind on slimes all day or whatever.
I mean, that's part of it.
It is, but like there's a lot of like very interesting narrative choices in Dragon Quest, and like the way it conveys its story is like, oh, Dragon Quest is good actually, which is a weird or like how they make sequels where it's like, well, we just use the same maps over and over again, but we expand on them or like make them way bigger. But like they know how to like very like smartly reproduce games so they can make so many of them. Anyway, Dragon Quest is good. Friend of the zine, contributor to the zine with one of my favorite games in the zine, which is Landvotus. I think their Twitter is like Fulgudrum. I forget exactly. Anyway, they play a lot of RPGs and they have like a lot of good like RPG threads. They've been playing through a lot of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. But anyhow, we're talking about David Cage sucks shit. But
Yeah.
no, so okay. So the thing about Heavy Rain, I think, is like it's got a lot of problems. I think it's like its key problem. I think this is what like really exemplifies the fact that you said it's like very superficial and very like very barely like masked what its problems are. Is the idea that like Heavy Rain has like internal monologues and things like that, right? So
Okay.
Yeah.
So something that, and spoilers for Heavy Rain. Obviously, this show is full of spoilers about everything because I don't care about. I have no respect for spoiler culture. And you can't really. It's hard to talk to people when you. But anyway, the point is like the detective. I think he is in that thing. Is whatever he is. The private investigator is actually the killer. But he thinks internally that like a person who isn't. You know. And why would he lie in his internal monologues?
Right.
If he was not speaking to the audience, and that kind of like, oh no, you didn't figure out how to do this.
Yeah. See, I think like it's so interesting that you say that because I think that game would be so much more interesting if you knew that from the get-go.
Right.
And then the game then was about like reconciling your feelings of ambivalence or not ambivalence, but like your feelings of conflict about being like the person that you're seeking as opposed to being like dun 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 like this like big reveal thing.
That would be interesting.
And the thing is, the real kicker is they did that with Indigo Prophecy. You were both the suspect and the person pursuing the suspect.
I haven't played that. I should check that out.
It's better.
Yeah.
I think like it. Also, I played when I was a lot younger, so like the David Cage's whole like the sexism of Cage is less present, you know, or you're like when you're a teen boy, you're less aware of it because that's just what media looks like. And you're like, oh, this is just like all media. Of course, there's a woman, a brunette in her underwear in her apartment or whatever. It's not David Cage's very specific thing that he likes. But yeah, it's better. They Dragon Ball Z fight at the end or whatever. I think Omicron is probably will probably come out as his most interesting work.
Yeah, maybe.
That's David Bowie in it. He's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's the neatest thing about it. Hey, Andrew, I unfortunately really gotta go.
Yes, get out of here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for having me on the show, and it's been like super fun chatting with you.
No, Indiepocalypse always maintains an open door on his radio show. Always
Cool.
Welcome back, and I guess we'll just spin this down. Before you go, Nicholas, I just need a one-word opinion on Mario.
Mario.
One word. Thank you.
Mario. Okay.
Mario. Okay. Okay. Get out of here. Goodbye. What's your stuff? What's your SA Games, right?
Yes. At SA Games at Twitter. sagames.itch.io. Absolutely. Those are the big two.
Last survey, now available on Switch.
Yes, that's true. Yes, go get that for sure. Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Andrew. Bye.
All right. Well, welcome. You know what? We are actually cresting towards the end of the show because we had to run long. He tripped my switch of talking about things that I like to talk about.
Yeah, it happens.
So, well, unless you have any pressing matters to attend to.
No, I have nothing planned. Don't worry.
Anything you had like in that last segment? You're like, oh, I have a thing to say about.
No, I don't have any topics I need to talk about, but you mind if I give a shout out?
You can shout. Yes, this is what we're here for. This is the plug to shout out zone.
All right, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Quizzical Jin, who also makes RPG Maker games, and she's also a streamer on Twitch.
And where would you find that stream on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/Quizzical Quizzical and the drink gin.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Because there's a lot of ways to spell that old word, gin.
Yeah. If you see a seagull, that's her.
Perfect. Whenever I am down in my local supermarket and I see a bunch of seagulls in the parking lot, I will think, yes, Quizzical Gin. There you are.
Yeah, that's her, all right. Yeah, she streams about every day or so. So, yeah.
Perfect. I respect that hustle. Cannot do it myself. I think occasionally, like, there's got to be a better way to do Twitch stuff, or like to kind of bring it together. And maybe this is just my kind of curatorial, like, I've been doing Indiepocalypse for so long mindset, but I'm like, I mean, I do know that they have like teams and stuff on Twitch. But it feels like there should be like a better way to organize things like that.
I mean, there should be, but no one's really took the time to think of one or address it. So,
like, I kind of like what Games Done Quick is doing with like how they have like shows now.
Yeah,
I think it's a really smart way to do that. I don't know I don't know if it's like, hey, you get the stream revenue from this, like you appear, so all the bits and stuff go to you because you were hosting the show this week and that kind of thing. I don't know if they do it like that. That would be
I'm not too sure.
That's kind of like how I've been thinking about that sort of thing. But
right, yeah. I mean, I'd say with the way Indiepocalypse has been going, it's been quite a interesting experience because you're giving more exposure to devs who probably wouldn't get that otherwise.
Yeah, plenty of people. Like, there are some people who don't even have zero social accounts, so far as I can tell, but they have like an itch account or something.
Yeah.
So how does that person get their game out? You know?
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably just share it with some friends on Discord or something and just pray it happens.
Yeah. So
it's like lightning.
Yeah, I'm trying to like not bottle that lightning. I'm trying to be the lightning man. I'm gonna get a big stick and bring it out into a field.
Yeah, it's a pretty noble idea.
Yeah, I I have. If you read the blog post, you can say I have mixed feelings about that because I'm like I'm not doing anything really. Really, I'm not making anything new. I'm just kind of like compiling stuff that's already been made together. But I do recognize that that's effort in and of itself. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things as a developer and as an artist myself. It doesn't feel like I'm making anything. You know.
Yeah. It's nowadays where it's a bit tricky to do what you want to do.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
if that people enjoy it and that people enjoy being part of it is important enough for me.
Yeah, totally.
Because
Plus, a little bit of work goes a long way.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm just gonna say briefly about my game, if that's okay
No,
with you,
yes, this
Andrew.
is the zone. What is Sticks? We very rarely talk about people's games on this show.
So it's basically Styx Quests was a more than just a little game project I came up with at 1 a.m. It was more of a test for myself. You know,
Yeah,
like the whole game. Every day I would just do a little bit of work, and it would eventually pile up.
yeah,
Yeah, just a little bit at a time, little baby steps, because there have been several projects that have either been cancelled or put on pause.
yeah.
So
I
yeah, this
think
has
that
been more of a test for me.
yes, I think it's like a good. That's actually I think a really good practice to just like
Yeah.
be like this is. Well, also scoping and knowing when your thing's going to get finished and like being I only want it to be this big kind of thing I think is very important. But
Yeah, totally.
also being like
Yeah.
I'm gonna this is my two Sticks Quest hours in the day, so you don't burn yourself out on it.
Yeah. I mean, there's still more to do for Styx quests.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, like update 1.2 is in the works, but I haven't really been able to do anything for it lately because I got myself a part-time job for Christmas.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
as someone who does a full time job on top of this, it's a
Yeah.
lot of
Can't
work.
imagine it's easy.
No, it's a lot of work, but that's
Yeah.
also why I really spaced it out. And then like, because people say like, hey, once you've burnt out, you're once you realize you're burning out, you're already too late.
It's
When
like
it's
the spoons thing, you know, you allocate a certain number of spoons towards activities. You heard about
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yes.
I'm very bad at these kind of like
Yeah.
these abstractions of things. I know they work for some people, but I just like I think oh
Yeah.
that's too cute for me. I just am gonna think about myself and or I think about it in like very abstract, ill-defined. I guess people are spoons are just kind of verbalizing the things that I think about that I don't actually have words and descriptions for.
Right. Yeah.
I've had those situations in life where I've had to describe things to people that are things that I fully understand, but I've never actually verbalized, and it's like, oh, I actually don't know how to say this, but I know fully what I mean.
Yeah, this is why some people prefer using text and
Yes,
stuff. Give them more time to process the words.
yeah,
Yeah.
but uh, that is a if you think of burnout like it's think of it like I think of it as a burnout specifically as like kind of like fuel in a car, you know.
Yeah.
By the time it's empty, your car doesn't go anywhere anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, then you got to repeat the whole process again, just refuel and God knows what. I don't know how to drive, Andrew, so I don't know how cars work.
They so there's a pedal on one side and a brake on the other side. You push the pedal to go fast and you press the brake to go slow. Or
That makes a lot of sense.
and I mean in your situation, let me tell you, you got your roads on the other ways than I know.
And the steering wheel on the other way.
We have some steering wheels on the other way in the U.S. for people. I don't know if they still have them anymore, but they used to for people who did. Because I knew someone who delivered newspapers,
Oh yeah.
so their steering wheel would be on the other side.
Okay, well that sounds interesting.
I think it's so like you could like you were on the driver's side was on the because our roads are on the right.
Yeah.
The driver's side would be on the house side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That sounds very practical.
Yeah, it's. I
Yeah.
think I think also student cars have steering wheels on both sides. Maybe some of them do.
Yeah. Driving instructor cars have those. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, as we've said on the show, for cars are, I mean, they're very American because this country is very big.
Yeah, very, very big.
I mean, the New England region is probably about the size of England, more or less,
Yeah, hence the name.
and it's a very small part of the United States.
Mm.
I could
Ooh.
I could very easily make that long drive through all the name of the dick places in England that I see occasionally posted.
Yeah, there's a road that is within driving distance to me called the Butts.
Perfect. Perfect. There is
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will see it at another point because it gets reposted every so often. But someone made a route that is through all of like the butts and dicks upon rivers or
Oh
whatever.
God, yeah, I've seen that. You know, there's also a Shrek's Pizza in Scotland.
No, I do you know there's a sandwich? I mean, there's probably a sandwich in England. There's a sandwich in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Just a
Yeah,
whole ass town.
yeah. America likes to borrow names a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Like there's a Lincoln, Nebraska. There's a Lincoln in here.
yeah. There's a London in Connecticut.
Yeah. And Rome, I think, is another place. Oh
Yeah,
no, there's several towns named Rome.
quite famously, there is as made famous by the film, perhaps. There's Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
But
There's
anyway,
also Rip-Off York, aka New York.
yes. Well, listen, we got the we. You're talking to someone who lives in New England.
Okay, that's fair.
It
That's
says
fair.
Billy Bragg just always once said, I'm looking for a New England.
Yeah.
They're not
Uh,
satellites. They're Starbeam. Fuck, I screwed up the line. Anyway,
anyways,
Billy Bragg's cool. I like him.
yeah.
He's got good songs about workers. Real salt of the earth type.
Yeah, I will check them out. Maybe.
He's,
You know.
yeah, I mean, how do you like folk songs?
I like my country roads. I like my Fallout music and all that. So
Okay.
it's a whole mishmash. I don't really have a favorite things. Just anything works.
Neither do I. I don't have a favorite
Yeah.
as well. Is it the? It's the who are those guys? The guys. They did Pressure Drop. Um.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, their version of Country Roads is my favorite.
Yeah.
It's take of course they're going home to West Jamaica, but how did I forget that I'm pissed off of myself now. It's the O something, I believe. Well, now I
It'll
gotta
come to you.
now I've got to look it up because this is where like having an active chat helps because then people catch you when you like your brain just forget something very obvious. Toots and the Maytals. That's what I was thinking of.
All right. Okay.
Toots and the Maytals. Yeah. Also, my favorite version of Pressure Drop, I'd say as well.
Alrighty. Sounds interesting. Sounds good.
Pressure Drop is just an all-time classic song, one of the greats. But we were trying to wrap this up, is what we were trying to do.
Oh, right. Sorry for the tangent.
No, that's me. That's the thing that I do.
Right.
That was
Wait.
like, yeah, one of those
Ooh.
things. And I'm glad.
Hang on, didn't you? One more tangent, if that's okay
Yes,
with
no,
you.
yeah, go.
So I'm just looking over the funky email you sent.
Yeah.
Very, very nice of you, by the way, to offer. But it said questions will be fielded in advance. Like, did we get any questions or
I don't think
nothing
so.
this week?
Very rarely do we. No, we did not.
Oh well.
Listen.
All right.
Don't take it personally.
I won't. I won't.
I would say we very very rarely, except they're like very passionate fan bases occasionally. So like Milky Lemon a couple weeks ago, she had like 10 questions.
Wow.
Very very passionate fans. I mean that's part of why I talked about this on the show too. Why I handpicked her game because I feel like oh yes, here is a rising star in the scene, and I want to help shine that star a little,
Yeah, it's very, very nice of you.
And also it's easy for those stars to get lost.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Because
so many of those.
yeah, especially when you're
Yeah.
not like based in the U.S.
Mm.
or even in Europe, it's like well, there's no physical opportunities, and like the machine does not benefit people who are not like wealthy for the most part.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Either wealthy in money or wealthy in time.
Mm. It's one or the other.
Yeah, it's either you spend 10 years making a proper, respectable indie game, or you spend the money to like buy enough people to
Yeah,
uh, to like shorten that time.
yeah. I mean, you can try and do both, but that doesn't really sound possible to
No.
do it well.
Yeah, no, it's there's still very certain expectations. It's why I am done with the games industry because I know that I will always appreciate the aforementioned. This is just to say more than like 90% of whatever AAA and I'm sure a bunch of indies put out,
Yeah.
like the high budget indies, and that game is 30 seconds. On during game night, I shared with my friends, and we all got a. It was pleasurable all around.
Right.
But art is not. The quality of art is not dependent on the amount of money you invest in it. Is not dependent on the length of the art itself.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's because then how else would paintings work?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
It takes me 3 seconds to look at a painting.
Mm. Yeah, just 3 seconds and then just move on with your day.
I'll be like, not valuable. I'm gonna refund this painting on Steam because it only took me 3 seconds to look at.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're in a very, I think, I've been thinking about this more. I think we're in a very mainstream culture dominant era right now.
Yeah.
Pop culture is very strong and counterculture is very weak.
Yes. Lot of push to get recognized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy. Anyone can. It's easier to publish than ever, but it's harder to get recognized than ever. I
Yeah.
think.
Yes, it's frustrating because think about how many interesting styles and stories there are, and
Yeah.
just think about how many of those you'll be able to experience within your lifetime. It's just
Yeah. Here's the thing: if you didn't have to work, you didn't have to sleep, and you had 24 hours to spend in every day for the rest of your life consuming art, and they stopped producing art right now, there would still be more art in existence than you could consume in your lifetime.
yeah, no, it's crazy.
But yeah, and you would think, and this is me very much to say, the idea of an indie apocalypse is never real because, as you can imagine, there's always been too much art, and it's not that they suddenly there's too many indie games and now we can't get noticed. It's more that you didn't realize that the indie games that were getting recognized had more advantages and opportunities than you did,
Yeah,
and it was like those opportunities were more invisible, and they still are fairly invisible, I think, in a lot of cases.
yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Indiepocalypse. It gives attentions to those who otherwise would not get it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had someone ask me before, like, "Hey, if you made a lot of money, would it not be indie anymore?" And I'm like, "No,
Mm.
because I would just have more money." But I am like, with me at the helm, I am intensely focused on highlighting people who don't have any attention.
Yeah, I mean, between you and me and probably all the people who are listening, I didn't think I would get chosen. I just submitted randomly and was like, okay, well, if nothing comes of it, then that's cool. It's, worth a chance.
Yeah,
Yeah, so getting recognized, I was like, holy, how, why, what? I
no,
mean,
it's because you make good games.
yeah,
That's the secret is that you made a good game.
yeah,
I've had someone
yeah,
ask me before, like, I can't believe you selected my game. I was like, I don't put bad games in any apocalypse. If I didn't like the game, it wouldn't be in it.
yeah. That's a fair point. But
there's there's sometimes there are games that I like. I recognize their value to some people, but I don't care for them personally that much, or like I don't feel strongly about them.
yeah,
But I see why
no,
other people would. But
yeah,
for the
I'm
most
not
part,
sure how many other people have the same feeling. But when it comes to playtesting like my work, I just don't feel any enjoyment from it because I made all this, it's cool and all, but it just doesn't fit right with me. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense. I should be proud of this, and I am kind of, but it just doesn't grab me myself.
I
And
think
it's
from my personal perspective, and this is how I view it, is often you're probably too close to it. Because when I'm too close to something, I feel like that. But when I revisit something like I did like maybe a year ago, like someone go, "Huh, I was funny,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
clever,"
that makes sense. That makes
or
sense.
like I designed this very well. Like I'll open an old project or something to like do something like, "Wow,
Mm,
I was smart. I made good code,"
yeah.
and then
All I know is how to do art. That's it.
listen, and that's the beauty of modern engines is like sometimes all you need to do
Yeah.
is make art
Yeah.
and like let the engine take care of the rest for you.
Yep. Sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lower the number of barriers to game design. Listen, you don't need to make all the new. If you can just buy crates off the Unreal store or the Unity store, just do it. Who gives a shit if you made a crate or not?
Yeah. Just make it your own.
Who 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 made that quote? There's a quote somewhere. I forget who made it. That's
Mm,
like it feels like a real Carl Sagan kind of shit. Whereas like
maybe.
to make a pie, you must first create the universe.
That sounds a bit excessive.
To make a pie from scratch, rather.
Right.
Because the idea being that, well, if I'm going to make a song from scratch, I bought a guitar. Do I have to make a guitar? Do I have to, do I have to string my own guitar? Or do I have to make my own guitar? If I make my own guitar, do I have to buy my own wood? Do I have to create my own wood? Do I have
Right.
to buy, do I have to grow my own trees? Do I have to plant my own seeds? Do I have to harvest my own, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Like once you get deeper into it, it just seems a bit more intense than it actually is.
ah, yes, I was right. It was from Carl Sagan. Yes, if you wish to make an apple
Right.
pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe.
Well.
Because yes, and that's the thing. Just because games are digital, video games are digital, doesn't mean you have to create all of it from scratch. Just because you
Yeah.
theoretically could, because it doesn't require any raw materials. Time is a raw material.
Yeah. Time is a raw material, and we aren't spending it.
Yes, it's yeah. It's to talk about games for a second. I think this is like a thing you can learn. Like I really enjoy Magic the Gathering as a card game to play.
Yeah.
And I think a first step learning process is when you learn that your life points are also a
Yeah.
resource that you spend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yes, and I think that's like a learning curve that new players need to get over. It's like, oh no, I can lose life all the time. I can spend it as long as I have more than one, as long as I have more than zero. I'm still in the game.
Yay.
And so it's
I'm
like
more of a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, to be honest.
I never played
But
it. I was the
yeah,
wrong.
don't get me started. Eventually, at some point, they just made entirely new ways to play, and it's just been overwhelming. So just cool cards, can't play them. It's dead.
Is Yu-Gi-Oh the is am I correct in the Yu-Gi-Oh only has one format?
Yeah, I
Like
think so.
okay, as opposed to like Magic, for instance, it rotates sets of cards out. So there's like
Yeah, I mean, in tournaments, you can have 15 cards to the side that you can just add in when you want between matches,
okay,
but
but I
I
mean
don't think anyone really does that.
you can have cards from the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh up to the present Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that is. Anyway, I really one of my really kind of like one of my top shelf, my favorite tweets, perhaps. Like this a little treat for you in the Discord. Everyone else can just fucking look it up themselves. It's
Oh.
the this old Beanie Tuesday one about like what every Magic the Gathering card is versus what every Yu-Gi-Oh card is. And I look at that
you,
card and I'm like,
you
it's a
know,
weird,
Andrew,
yeah.
there is a Yu-Gi-Oh card that is actually a demonic hamburger with teeth.
You know, either he knew that before he made that, or somebody owes him some money.
Yeah, actually, let me just send you the picture of it, just
Yeah.
because the hot dog, it seems pretty close to it.
Okay, so
Just-
it's yes. Okay, yes. Actually, I think that looks familiar to me. So I'm vaguely aware of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, you know what? Speak of the GBA, I played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh games on GBA.
Yeah.
Actually, and there was like, it was a weird thing. So it was this conceptual thing that we knew which players we would have to duel because they would have character portraits.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of the rules I really retained.
Right. Well, this changed a lot since I last played it.
Yeah.
Because now it's all fast paced and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Respect for card games and respect for GBA. People should play more. GBA like sucks, I think, kinda.
Yeah.
But
I miss DS games.
DS games I think are better on a whole.
Yeah.
I went through like I found I say the entire GBA library coincidentally, and then dumped them all to ROM.
Nice.
Of course. Found
Yeah.
I say the complete library, and it
Oh, cool.
sucks. Like it's like there's a lot of really bad GBA games. There's like a few good ones, but like most of them are ports.
Yeah. Any handheld games you played lately?
The last handheld game I played, which was not handheld, I played it like through RetroArch because I'm not going to dig out my PSP to play a game. But it was Valkyrie Profile.
Fair enough.
That PSP one.
Okay.
It's really are you familiar with is it called Indivisible or Undivisible?
And no,
I think
it sounds familiar. Let me just look it up.
I think even if you get in the Car Loser that just came out, I think also plays sort of the same way as Valkyrie Profile.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with that.
No, I'm not. But looking at the visuals for it does seem interesting.
Yes, it's the latest Christine Love game. It's free plus DLC, paid DLC.
Yay.
But anyway, Valkyrie Profile is cool. Good art in that game. I think my favorite era of pixel art is that kind of like, or that PS1 Saturn era.
Yeah, the aesthetic
is probably it's like these were people who were like exceptionally good at this style of art, and this was like the culmination of all those years before stuff started switching over to 3D, and it looks great. And there's a lot of life in that. There's a lot of
I might check it out.
Yeah.
I'd recommend The World Ends With You. You heard of that?
I have. I've thought about playing it. I have to dig out the old DS because that one doesn't emulate so well.
Yeah, like I bought it. So I bought a copy of it when Kingdom Hearts came to DS, and when I played it first, it was like, okay, this seems interesting, but gameplay's not for me, and I just left it to sit and rot for who knows how many years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a few months ago, last month or 2 months ago, that I picked it back up again and started again. And all I'm thinking is, hey, past Lemon, why did you sleep on this?
Yeah.
The style is good, gameplay's engaging, story captivating. Why did you skip this?
I'm trying to think of like something that I feel like I had that feeling fairly recently of like I burned myself on playing, like avoiding something that I would have enjoyed because of just like probably arbitrary reasons or like just like, oh, you know what, one of the something like that. I wouldn't say it was like it took me by storm and I was enraptured by it, but I didn't watch Yuri on Ice for a very long time because it seemed like annoying stuff for the internet or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh wait, the director of that is Sayu Yamamoto, and I really love Michiko and Hachin, and I especially really love The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, which were her 2 previous shows she directed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, why did no one just tell me that there was the director that I really liked? And
Because that's not what they're focusing on.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that show. I think it's good. I think it's a pretty good show. But anyway, I really find Fujiko. I think it's hard to get again, actually. It kind of ebbs and flows whether you can very easily watch The Woman Called Fujiko Mine.
Right.
But it's very cool, very stylish. Highly recommend. Don't watch in public in polite company. There's a lot of boobs in it.
Right, I understand. I understand.
Just in the intro, there's like, it's excessive nudity. There's a lot of, but it's good nudity.
Tasteful nudity.
Tasteful nudity. Yes. Well, Fujiko Mine is an anime sex symbol, and she's kind of like exploring that idea. Anyway, I think it's a very good show.
All right. Well, I might check that out.
If you have, I don't think it doesn't really require any familiarity with Lupin at all. Really.
Okay.
It helps, I think, maybe to have a vague sense of who he is.
I think I've watched Lupin a while back, but can't really recall.
They're like little rascals. There's 3 of them. One of them's got a gun. One of them's got a sword.
Nice.
Anyway.
Anyways.
Now we're approaching the show getting too long. We need to shut down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Sorry for all the tangents.
No, this is what I do. I go off on a lot of unnecessary tangents talking to people because I like to talk to people about things. To have
that's fair.
Conversations and meet people. This is your Indiepocalypse is the post-event hangout. That's what I should call it. That's what I should intro it as. Indiepocalypse is the post-event hangout.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you should leave with that in the next episode.
Yes, that's my tagline, because that's what it is. It's people just vibing and hanging out, and then nobody knows when to leave.
Yep, sounds about right.
But we're going to leave now.
Right.
Lemon, what have you got more officially to plug? Of your own stuff as well.
Well, there's not really much of my own stuff aside from a demo for a game that's on ice at the moment. But once Styx Quest is fully done, there's nothing more to do with that, I'm gonna try and make some more stuff that people will enjoy, hopefully, and maybe you'll try out. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
I would recommend that people make things that people enjoy, maybe.
All right. Well, one of the big inspirations for Styx Quest is a free RPG maker game called Mothlight.
You say Mothlight?
Yeah, Mothlight.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the mechanics of you beat the boss. There's no XP. You slowly but surely gain stats up through items. That's one of the things I thought might work. Just customization.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about customization. Just see what works, and it's also got a pretty good art style. So go check it out.
I'm looking at it right now. One of these days, I'm going to dive into RPGs because I love. I mean, making them even.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I think I have despite this weird, the art side I project. I also am very I like to do numbers, and I'm very design oriented.
Yep, sounds pretty good.
But anyway,
to
find those games, that's Lemon Zest Doodle at itch.io.
And Lemon Zest Doodle on Twitter as well.
Lemon Zest Doodle, look at that. Consistent branding across the things.
Yeah. Trying to find a job in animation. Gotta get the name out there.
Oh, geez. I wish you the best. I hope you like Los Angeles.
Me too. Anywhere is fine.
Yeah. I think some places actually still allow you to I think animation is a job you can do remote sometimes as well.
Yeah. I mean, it had to be remote for last year.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
hopefully people will be like, no, you don't actually have to move to LA to do animation.
Right. Anyways, we should probably
Yeah.
finish this up, shall we?
Yeah. I felt like another conversation sneaking up behind me.
Yeah, we should save it for another time.
It's the meme where I'm the guy in the suit, and then the guy sneaking up behind me is conversation about animation. But anyway, Indiepocalypse, I recommend you buy it. You can go to indiepocalypse.com. I've got the URL. Number one in the business. If you think I made a game once, I should submit it to Indiepocalypse. Indiepocalypse.com/submit. Aside from a couple hours every month where they're transitioning from one page to another, submissions are always open. And you can get a cool 20 spot and be included in this neat little zine.
Totally worth it.
Yes, it's an ongoing library. Think of it like that. Like it's not a one and done. If you go to indiepocalypse.com, you notice that the very first one there is Indiepocalypse issue number 1. I don't sort new to old on that site because I don't believe in new to old. I believe in art. And old art is good art still. But yeah. If you're just tuned in late and you're like, I want to listen to the whole thing, but I missed it, you can sign up. Or you want to buy Indiepocalypse and you're like, I don't want to think about buying it. I just want them to take the money from me. You can go to indiepocalypse.com/Patreon and sign up for the Patreon, where you'll get radio shows the Monday after. Otherwise, you get them like a month after, because I can do paywalls and I'm the boss of this. Because really, it's a live show, and if you don't show up live, you pay the piper, and I'm the piper, and I need that pipe. But speaking of pipes and piping it all down, I'm gonna pipe this outro song into your ears. It's your favorite of mine, the unofficial because it's a pirate radio, and none of these are quite official. Outro to Indiepocalypse. It is Sidney Gish's Imposter Syndrome. Lemon, thank you for being here. Nicholas, thank you for being here, even though
Glad to be here.
I forgot to remove his little face from the thing. Oh well. Goodbye, everyone. Wait, nope, not goodbye yet, because I have to open up Foobar. I have to click open Foobar. Your favorite open source MP3 and audio player. We should get into MIDI. I want to talk about. I should do another MIDI night. MIDI. You can pick different. You can pick different instruments in Foobar for your MIDI. It changes up everything. It's wild. I love it. What a format. Anyway, transition to the end. Goodbye.